All right, everybody, good early morning to you. It is just before 1:30 a.m. here on Monday, July 25th, 2022. I'm forecaster Nick Dunn alongside Owen Fritz. We have a tornado warning, and it is very early here on this Monday morning. We have a radar-indicated tornado warning that has been issued for portions of Summit, Stark, Portage, and portions of Wayne County in northeast Ohio. This will go until 2 o'clock this morning. And Owen, this is a pretty dangerous situation. We're in the middle of the night. Very strong looking thunderstorm with some rotation indicated on radar. And this is moving right in between two of our more populated areas in northeast Ohio, in between Akron and Canton.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning to everybody. The first thing is, if you're in this area, if you're listening to us or watching us and you're anywhere in the polygon, make sure that you get to the lowest level as possible, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and cover your neck and head. This is a particularly interesting storm. It's very clear on radar. If you're looking at the reflectivity, you can see the hook by New Franklin and Canal Fulton. That is right where the tornado would be if it is there. And it does look like it's lofting a little bit of debris, Nick. Looking at correlation coefficient, it looks like there's a little bit of debris there with it as well. So not stating that it's on the ground, but it has a very strong potential of possibly being on the ground based on what we're seeing. I'm not sure if that's an anomaly on the correlation coefficient or not, but that hook echo, if you will, that hook is very clear. That inflow notch is very, very clear right near the town of New Franklin. So if you're anywhere out ahead of this, make sure again that you are getting to the lowest level of your house and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, Nick. It is something today, we had a little bit of shear in the atmosphere today, and it doesn't surprise me as we head into the overnight hours that we're seeing a couple of these storms start to approach that severe criteria. So something we were keeping an eye on as we're here overnight tonight, but just make sure again that you're treating this very seriously. As it's in the middle of the night, we don't like to see any type of storms in the middle of the night because they're very, very dangerous and there is no daylight. So don't try to look at it. Don't try to go outside or anything of that nature. Make sure that you are getting down and taking shelter at this point, Nick.
Yeah, and so folks, right now, what we really need you to do is we need to be in a safe place. That means we need to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Put yourself below ground if you possibly can. I know it's the middle of the night, but if you're in a mobile home and you're out ahead of this, you need to try to find a more substantial shelter. I know you may be kind of scrambling around a little bit trying to get your kids and your pets to shelter, so let's just do the best we can. Let's get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Let's make sure you have a bicycle helmet. If you don't have a bicycle helmet, a football helmet, a baseball helmet, something that you need to be able to protect your head with. And if you don't have those items, find a sofa cushion, find a mattress, find a sofa that you can flip over top of you and your children or you and your pets. But make sure you follow the same protection for you as you would for your pets and children. There's a decent amount of lightning with this storm. I'll go ahead and turn that on so you can see that it is flashing and that you can actually see that there is a decent amount of light. There's about 200 strikes in the last 25 minutes, so there's a decent amount here to work with. But folks, some of this rotation could also be embedded in some rain, so don't go outside. It's the middle of the night. We shouldn't be outside anyway, unless you absolutely have to be. Yeah, but we've got to be in a safe place right now. If you're in green, this is coming right into top of you right now. This is also crossing I-77. There should be nobody driving between Akron and or Canton or heading any of those directions right now on any road, but in particular I-77. They've just taken Wayne County out of the tornado warning at this point in time, and there's the latest track on the screen there. And this remains radar indicated at this time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is Wayne County has been dropped out of the warning at this point, but it still does remain in effect for the other counties there in Stark and Portage County. So it does remain in effect for you and portions of Summit County for you here. And this warning goes again until what time did I get that? Till 2 a.m. So you got a half hour on this particular warning. And it still looks valid from what I can see. We're still seeing a little bit of a hook there near New Franklin. And it is moving right towards, in my opinion, Greentown, North Canton, Uniontown. So if you're anywhere in those areas, Hartville, you need to make sure you're seeking shelter at this point. The trouble with some of these storms in the overnight hours is we don't have spotters. You can't really see anything at night, so we can't really have a lot of ground truth on these particular storms. So based on what we're seeing on radar, wouldn't be surprised to see, a few scans ago, wouldn't have been surprised to see something that had touched down. I'm not saying that there was, but it looked pretty promising there on radar, so you need to take this seriously. Another thing, Nick, that we're starting to see with this is some hail. There is some small hail starting to create within this storm, which also tells us that the intensity of the storm is continuing to ramp up just a little bit, that we have enough shear in the atmosphere and enough lift in the atmosphere to start creating hail. So it is intensifying here just a little bit as we're starting to see that. So I know on your screen you're seeing the actual radar, and we can put a track on that, Nick, if you wouldn't
Yeah,
mind.
I'll get another updated one up there. Yep.
Storm cell and zooming out, and where we're at is near Akron and Canton. So if you're anywhere in northwest Ohio or pretty much anywhere west of I-71, this doesn't concern you, and your severe threat is over. But we're just east of I-71 over in the Akron area in northeast Ohio. So that's where we're concerned at the moment. And Nick's going to go ahead and put a track on it. So if you're looking at it, you can see Uniontown 138, 203 and Alliance, 211 and Sebring, Salem 225, Canfield 235, Austintown 237. And again, if it continues to hold, we'll have to wait and see. But that's kind of the projection at this point. We'll have to wait and see if it gets all the way out to Alliance and Salem and some of those other counties. We'll have to wait and see if it gets into Mahoning County or not. We'll have to just kind of wait and see on that, Nick. But right now, it continues to show signs of still being there. Definitely rotation showing on radar. And you need to take this very seriously, Nick.
Yeah, and this, I just want to kind of point out that this is not the first tornado warning of the night, at least in this particular setup. We did have one earlier over in Erie and Crawford County, so these storms do have the potential to show some signs of rotation. I've went ahead and flipped it over to the terminal Doppler out of Cleveland. I did want to show you that there is an elevated return on velocity, so regardless of tornado or not, just in between Lake Moore and Greene, that's going to be just to the east of the Barberton and Clinton area, and right in between Akron and Canton, there's a pretty decent return here of some winds in excess of 50 to 60 miles per hour. So regardless if there's a tornado or not, there is certainly potential for seeing some damaging winds here early this morning. So that's the way things are currently standing. There's the latest scan. And Owen, it is very hard right now to kind of get an idea on whether or not we have a possible tornado on the ground anywhere. The Weather Service has been pretty consistent on some of these tornado warnings here early this morning. This is on the southern flank of an overall line of storms, so sometimes these storms, when they're on the southern flank and the southern end of these, they kind of have a little bit of their own environment to work with. They don't have anything else to kind of impede any kind of inflow. Now, I do see a couple showers to the south and to the east of the main area of concern. Maybe that'll cut off some inflow and hopefully maybe trim back some rotation just a little bit. I know that we do have Zach Batten, who's also watching this. I know he has some family in the area, and he's getting them awakened and getting them into shelter here early this morning. As we go back to the Cleveland radar, and we'll flip you back over to velocity here, the rotation is not very tight at this particular point in time. However, given the history of the storm and what we've already seen in northwestern Pennsylvania this morning, I still want you to be in your safe place. And we're going to continue to watch it. Looking at some of your comments here, is there anything south of 70? No, not really at this time. Yeah, this is also east of I-71 up here in northeast Ohio. We have to remember that runs up into this area as well. Some Crystal saying in Canal Fulton that there was some hail. Yeah, and I know it had kind of mentioned that there was some smaller hail, but hopefully if you're in Canal Fulton, you're still in your safe place. You are still in the polygon. Oh, and we always say that if you're in the polygon, you should respect it and take shelter. I know James Span's a huge advocate of that as well, obviously, but we're talking some decently populated locations in the area here this morning. So if you're long and south of 224, you should still be in that tornado safe location right now, and still right along I-77. There should be nobody traveling on 77 between Akron or Canton at this point in time. So Hartville, you're still in the path of this looking downstream. Uniontown, Greentown, and North Canton. I want to stress this does not include downtown Akron or downtown Canton, but we are right in between those two locations. So I'm not exactly familiar with the siren policy in these areas, but if you do hear sirens and you happen to be outside, just look and see if you're in the polygon first. You should have been alerted to your wireless emergency alert. Hopefully that kind of helped push some of the proactiveness in getting some folks to their shelters. And I'm not seeing a ton of other information. The Weather Service is actually relatively calm on anything at this point in time. No reports, but they remain radar indicated. In fact, the Weather Service, none of the meteorologists are really even chiming in here early this morning.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to say one of the good things, but it looks like that the rotation is finally starting to subside, which is good. We got a lot of lightning with this, got some hail, but looking at the terminal Doppler out of Cleveland, we got a very good picture of this and low levels, and it was very clear when the tornado warning was issued. The rotation was very evident. It was very clear on the terminal Doppler. So continuing to look at this in the latest scans, looks like we're getting more of a wind threat that is picking up throughout this storm. So we'll have to wait and see what the National Weather Service decides to start to do with this here in just a second on the next update, because I'm assuming their next update is going to come out here in just a minute or so as they continue to monitor the storm. And I'm not exactly sure that the warning is still valid, but we're going to treat it as valid as such right now. But it's becoming more of a linear wind threat at this particular moment. So just to reiterate to all of you just joining us, we do have a tornado warning that is in effect here for southwestern Portage and northern Stark, and southeastern Summit counties until 2 o'clock. So that's where we're at right now. We're waiting for the National Weather Service to see on the latest update if the tornado warning will continue or they'll let it subside. They may let it continue based on some of the history that we've seen throughout the day, that these storms are cycling just a little bit. But we are watching this on terminal Doppler radar as well as the regular radar out of Cleveland, and we got a pretty good sense of what the storm is actually doing here in the latest scans. And like I said, Nick, it's continuing to bow out just a little bit, and we're starting to see more of a linear wind threat, especially off the terminal Doppler here as it continues to push. I would say pretty much due east, a little bit northeast in the storm cell. What do they got it clocking at? I'm thinking
It
about
looks like they've
30
went ahead and
miles an hour.
they've upped it to 40 now.
Okay,
So it is
40 miles
moving
an
up
hour.
just a little bit.
So it's moving a little bit quicker, and I don't want to say one of the good things about that, but as it's starting to move faster, we're going to start to see more of a linear threat. And as you pointed out there, I know you were drawing on the screen, it's bowing out just a little bit, and that usually is indicative of more of a wind threat that we're starting to see. So we need to treat this as still a severe storm, if you will. It is a tornado warning at this particular moment. I'm curious to see what happens downstream of this, if they're going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning or another tornado warning, as we're right about midway through the polygon at this particular moment. So we'll have to wait and see. However, so if you're in the northern portion of Canton, North Canton, you need to make sure.
We have a tornado watch that has just been issued here.
Yeah, I just saw that. That's why I stopped. So I'm not sure exactly what counties are in or out on that, but we'll have to wait and see once that generates. But nevertheless, if you're in the polygon, get to the lowest level of your house, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If you're in Greentown, time's up. You need to be in the tornado safe shelter. Hartville, anywhere in North Canton, even if you're just outside that polygon, you need to respect the polygon, as we say throughout the weather terminology. But again, we're continuing to track this storm, they're moving it about east at 40 miles an hour, so it's picking up a little bit of steam. And again, need to be prepared for the wind threat. I know, Nick, you're going to put a tracker on it, and you'll continue on here, pushing it at about 40 is what I would say right now, 39 to 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, and that tornado watch is only going to include the Cleveland and Pittsburgh office. So again, I'm not sure the counties yet. We'll get to that here in just a few minutes, and that's going to go through 7 a.m. this morning. So a short-term tornado watch based on what we've been seeing this morning across northeast Ohio and in really particular northwestern Pennsylvania. But there's the latest track for you right now. We'll go back for the velocity. I continue to see that has been fanned out, and Owen looks like the only 3 counties in our area are going to be Mahoning, Stark, and Columbiana until 7 a.m. on that tornado watch. You just saw those counties in yellow pop up on the screen. Those are going to be the 3 counties that are going to be underneath that tornado watch until 7 a.m. this morning. And that's going to be for Mahoning, Stark, and Columbiana counties. So we're going to need to be in our safe places here for a little while longer while these storms are rolling through this morning. Switching things over to velocity just a little bit. We do see right there in between Hartville and North Canton. So let's get you down to street level right now, and I'll switch it back over to reflectivity for you. But in between Hartville and North Canton, that's going to be along Ohio Route 619. And those are going to be your notifications, which you're hearing in the background there. And we're also going to get now I guess that's just the watches. So what you're hearing in the background is just us getting notified that there's been a watch issued and exactly who is in. So first of all, let's get you back down to street level now so we can tell you exactly who is underneath the worst of this right now. So there's to the Hartville area. We can turn on our street tools here for you. And again, we can get you some street names. So if you are along Geeb Avenue, down to the south here towards Lako Pine Street, a little bit further down to the south towards State Street, and maybe up here as far north as Andrew Street. That's kind of where the rotation is going to be right now. The latest scan you just saw there pop in, and as we continue to see signs that this is bowing out just a little bit. So in addition to a brief tornado, the damage and wind threat could be increasing. And we had from Saturday's storms a brief tornado confirmed in Troy, Ohio, with 0 rotation on radar, and it looks like it happened in between scans, and sometimes that can happen too. So we don't want folks, even though the reflectivity looks better and perhaps the overall structure of the storm may be looking better, we still need to take this pretty seriously, as a tornado could happen very, very quickly, and sometimes those happen right in between scans, and we don't even get a chance to really notice.
Yeah, so one of the things to also keep in mind here, so you got the tornado watch that's in effect. So if you're in any one of those counties, which is, what is it, Mahoning, Columbiana County, and Stark County, I believe,
Yep.
is the tornado watch. You need to make sure that you are also being heads up to you as these storms move towards your area. Focusing on the tornado warning right now, so if we're looking, if there is rotation, which there still is some, right near Hartville, it's very clear. You can see the hook, and I know on your screen, I know Hartville's like right over top of it. You might have to zoom in just a little bit to actually see the hook, but it is right there. So you need to make sure that you are in your tornado-safe shelter. So just to kind of reiterate, I know some people are watching in the Wayne County area. Wayne County was dropped out of the tornado warning. It is past you, so there is no longer a tornado warning that is in effect for your particular area. Looking here, this tornado warning again goes until 2 o'clock. At this particular time, we're kind of waiting to see it. In the latest update, they're not issuing it right now. They're just kind of rolling with it. So the tornado warning remains in effect for southwestern Portage, northern Stark, and southeastern Summit counties. That is continuing to move east at about 40 miles an hour. So that's where we're at right now. And if we're looking, if there were to be a tornado on the ground, it's right near Hartville, and it's right near that particular inflow notch, right near Hartville, moving east northeast just a little bit. So that's where we're looking at. It's kind of hard to exactly pinpoint it, but looking at it, it's very broad rotation at this particular moment. That's why I'm saying it's hard to pinpoint, but in that exact area. But anywhere in the polygon, you need to respect that polygon as we're starting to see this march towards the east. And continuing, we are very fortunate to continue to have scans off of the terminal Doppler in Cleveland, which gives us a lot of low-level scans, which we're looking at, which things look good at the moment. But nevertheless, like you said, Nick, we need to respect the polygon and ensure that you are in that tornado-safe shelter and getting to the lowest level of your house and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible.
Yeah, and so I was just commenting there, getting some folks up to date. We are wanting to stress that this does not include the city of Akron. I understand sirens are going off in Akron and Canton, but it does not include you. This is in between those two locations. Again, Hartville is where the worst of, we say the worst, but that's where the heart of the rotation was. Uniontown and Greensburg. I'm going to give you the all clear now to come out of your shelters. I understand you're still in the polygon, but we've not had an update in a little while now. I know the Weather Service was coordinating that watch and things of that nature, but the storm that prompted the warning has now essentially moved out of Summit County. This appears to now be a Portage and Stark County issue. And so to make it even a little bit easier for you, if you are west of 77 in Stark or Summit County, you can come out of your tornado safe places. If you are now east of 77, that's where you still need to be in a safe place, with the exception of Uniontown. You can come out of your shelters at this point in time. North Canton, same for you. Again, the area with rotation is now moving closer to the edge of the polygon. So if we take you back down to street level, and I'll turn on the alias velocity there, we are still seeing some elevated velocity returns, again, for that potential of maybe some wind. So that just because you have a tornado warning, that does not necessarily mean that your risk of strong to damaging winds is over with. You still need to stay in that safe place if you're, obviously you're east of Hartville, and now especially east of North Canton. So I'm labeling some streets here for you. If you know anybody that lives in these areas, or you yourself are in these areas, you still need to be in a safe place. We're talking Swamp Street, talking down to Hahn Street, Easton Street, State Route 173, State Route 44, just to kind of get our bearings with where we are at. This is where you need to still be in that safe place, and this is where we are still seeing some signs of rotation. Again, we're kind of getting a little further away from the radars now on both of these situations, so it could get a little bit difficult to kind of tell exactly what's going on, because sometimes these things can happen below the radar beam. So also, we are talking now east of the Quail Hollow Park, east of Stable Creek Golf Course, passing through the Mays Valley Winery, Craft, and Brewery, and also down to the Whetstone Center and through Curry Sunset. If you're in any of those locations, also there's the Sunset Strip Airport there into portions of Stark County. If you live anywhere near there, that's where the possible rotation would still be existing at this point in time. I know we have well over 1,000 of you watching, so that is very good. We feel like us coming live is doing some good. Hopefully everybody's in their safe place and they continue to watch us here this morning. So some locations down the line. And again, understand that the structure on this has fallen apart just a little bit, but I am still concerned about damaging winds. So Limaville, Alliance, Beloit, Salem, Youngstown even, that's a pretty heavily populated area as well, towards Boardman and Columbiana, you're next in line. You're currently under a tornado watch, which is different from a tornado warning. We still get this all the time. I know we posted the other day. Some folks found it kind of humorous, but they also understood it makes a difference. Using tacos between the difference between a watch and a warning. A watch, your ingredients are coming together, and a warning means that it's happening right now. You're having those tacos. So right now, if you're in Hartville and North Canton, you're looking at this kind of a taco warning, essentially. It's happening right now, and if you're downstream of this into portions of Mahoning and Columbiana counties, you're looking at a taco watch. And sometimes we have to use different things to help some folks learn, but I'm seeing a lot of folks in the comments section that are still, that are asking about their locations, and also seeing some folks are in the basement, and listening to us. So those are all good things. That's what we want people to do.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when we're live like this, we don't. Unfortunately, I can't pay attention, and we can't pay attention to the comments and give you exact locations. There's a few people saying some off-color comments, which I've dealt with summarily. So I've dealt with those issues for people that are trying to be wise guys in the middle of the night. So I don't take too kindly to that. But nevertheless, it's unfortunate we can't just focus on telling you your town, especially when we're looking at all the data coming in. We're just one team and a volunteer team at that. So unfortunately, we can't do that. So the tornado warning is going to continue here until 2 o'clock. Wayne County has been dropped out of the warning on the latest update. Kind of waiting for that next update from the National Weather Service, although they've been very quiet. But at this particular moment, the tornado warning remains in effect for southwestern Portage, northern Stark, and southeastern Summit counties at this particular moment. It's moving at about 40 miles an hour, moving northeast just a little bit. So it's continuing there. So if we zoom out just a little bit, I know, Nick, you got it zoomed out a little bit, and what you're seeing on your screen there, Akron is not included in that. The southern outskirts of Akron may be included in, depending on where you live, but the actual downtown metro area of Akron is no longer, or is not even in the warning, excuse me. If you're in Portage Lakes, yeah, it's pretty much past you at this point. It's continuing to move out of the polygon. However, the warning still remains. We're kind of waiting for that update. Portage Lakes, this has now moved past you as well. It's getting right to the edge of that polygon. It's kind of sitting. To me, it's slowed down just a little bit, just past the town of Hartville. So we're looking at that. Now, the tornado warning has been canceled, so that's a good thing. That just came in literally just a second ago. The tornado warning has been canceled for Portage, Stark, and Summit counties.
Yeah, so that's a piece of good news there. And you just saw the red box is now off the screen. Here's an updated track for you as well, and then we'll kind of talk about everybody else. But it's as it stands right now, you've got Louisville, Alliance, Maple Ridge and Sebring through about the 2 o'clock hours in the next 10 minutes, and looking downstream, Beloit, Salem, Latonia, Columbiana, and Boardman. So we'll continue to monitor that. And then it really starts to move out of our area. Now up into Trumbull County, we are seeing some stronger storms up here as well with very little lightning in between Cortland and Youngstown. Looks like most of that lightning is actually for storms that are now moving in to portions of Crawford County, Pennsylvania. They've been hit particularly hard early this morning with multiple tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings. But as it stands at this time, Trumbull County, you're not in the watch, but the storms are still coming through you. I would kind of treat this as you're in the watch, but you're close enough. As we always say, if you live in or close to the watch area, I'm going to draw a line on the screen, and if you are west of this line that I'm about to draw, your severe weather threat is essentially done and over with. You may have some scattered showers lingering, but I'm going to draw this line. And really, actually, let's put it this way. If you're north of that line, your severe threat is over. If you're south of that line, your severe threat still continues this morning. There's 3 counties in yellow. You've got Mahoning County, Stark County, Columbiana County, and then points off to the east. That tornado watch goes until 7 a.m. this morning. So that's the way things are currently lining up and the way things currently stand at this time. And I'm not a single report from the Weather Service office. That's good news. At least there's been no reports in this particular area of Stark, Portage, Summit, or Wayne counties. There have been several reports in Crawford County, Pennsylvania, of storm damage. I'll turn on some of those reports so you can kind of see, folks, what we're talking about. We did also have some previous reports, and we just got. Okay, yep, that doesn't surprise me. We'll wait for that to pop up. They may have even elected to go tornado tag on that. We'll see. Nope, they did not. That's just for wind, so that's going to be for Mahoning and Stark. And we may see Columbiana County added into that here shortly. So there's your new polygon. It is now including folks east of Hartville. This includes Limaville, Beloit, Alliance, and down to Louisville, or Louisville, if you will. And again, we may see Columbiana County added for Salem, maybe down as far south as Lisbon, but I think there's a little bit of a northern trajectory with this line segment, and so we may not see much of Columbiana County added whatsoever. So that's the flashing orange box on the screen. I'm going to turn off the tornado watch for now, just to kind of clean things up a little bit on the radar for you. But they now have got this moving east at 45, and I will say, just the overall structure in these last couple of scans has really fallen apart a little bit, and that's good. But sometimes when these storms die down and they die off, whatever wind energy is left can sometimes get rushed down to the surface. We call that a downburst, or even in some cases a microburst. So we could still have some ongoing damage while these storms are at least starting to show some signs of weakening.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. And now that we're out of the tornado warning, we can kind of answer some of the questions and things. So a couple things I want to point out. That some people are saying they're still hearing sirens, and I want to say unfortunately, but in some counties, sirens are automated, and they go to the full length of the warning, which was 2 a.m. So they may continue to go off until 2 a.m., even though that the tornado warning was officially canceled. Those tornado sirens could still be going off, but the tornado warning has been allowed to expire. The National Weather Service canceled it early, so there is no more tornado warning whatsoever. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect, but everything has been canceled as far as the tornado warning. We're not seeing any reports out of anywhere that tornadoes, have officially touched down. Wouldn't be surprised tomorrow because, we're in the middle of the night. Wouldn't be surprised that, we probably, in my opinion, probably did have a touchdown somewhere within the Portage Lakes area is where it looked the strongest, north of New Franklin in that area. When the warning was first issued, Portage Lakes was very, very strong. Just north of Portage Lakes, it looked very, very, very strong in that area. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Not going to be anything confirmed tonight anyway, because it's just too dark. We can't see what's going on. But tomorrow we'll have to see if they do a damage survey in that particular area. But the tornado warning has been allowed to expire. I just want to tell you that. And again, you might still be hearing sirens. That's because, again, those are automated in many cases, and it takes a little while for the cancellation to trickle down to the dispatch centers. And sometimes they just go ahead and run it all the way till the full length of the initial warning. I do want to point out just on your screen, I know that warning looks a little weird. That's because we're sitting on two different areas of a National Weather Service office. So Cleveland can't issue that tornado warning, or excuse me, that severe thunderstorm warning for Columbiana County. That's out of Pittsburgh. So that's why it looks that way. But we do have a tornado watch. So if you're in, excuse me, Mahoning or Columbiana County, you do have a tornado watch. And I think they said 7 o'clock, but this line will definitely be out of there before then. That we have to watch this particular storm cell as it's moving east at about 40 miles an hour. So over the next hour and a half or so, it should be out of the state of Ohio and out of our coverage area. And once this line is gone, we should be good to go here for the rest of the overnight hours. And pretty much we'll have to just wait and see. Now, you know, I'm very curious tomorrow, again, see on that particular storm track. But if you're anywhere in the severe thunderstorm warning, you need to make sure that you're taking that seriously as well, because they are looking at 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. We're talking about that embedded wind threat. As we started to talk about about 10 minutes ago, we were saying that it's starting to bow out just a little bit, which is what we're seeing now. So again, sometimes those wind threats can be just as bad. What are they? They issued a
Mahoning and Trumbull County, and I was actually just about to talk about this because I'm seeing some elevated returns on velocity, or enhanced returns, if you will, of seeing some stronger winds. So one of those spots is right around Niles. The other one is down towards Craig Beach, and I'll get that warning turned on here for you so you can see it pop up. They just issued it. Now, this basically includes the rest of Mahoning County, and it does include the southeastern portion of Trumbull County. So Trumbull County, just a little bit ago, we were talking about that if you lived in Trumbull County, you were still technically in the watch, but not really in the watch. You were close enough, and I still wanted you to be in kind of watching these storms. Now they've went ahead and elected to issue a warning. So 2 areas of concern. Okay, number 1 is going to be in between Niles and Girard there. That's going to be south of Ohio Route 82, and in between there and I-80, seeing some velocity returns between 60 and 65 miles per hour. Also back towards Lordstown, around 50 to 60 mile per hour returns, and then back towards Craig Beach, right on I-76. That takes you, if you're taking that west, it takes you out of Youngstown and into more of Portage County. If you're coming east, it takes you right into the heart of Mahoning County and Youngstown. We're seeing some elevated returns there between 60 and 65 miles per hour as well. It is not tagged tornado possible at this point, but that goes until 3 a.m. for portions of Trumbull and Mahoning County. And so this is moving off to the east at 32. Oh, and you mentioned it's slowing down a little bit. And now a new warning for Columbiana and Carroll County, and also portions of Brooke County in West Virginia there as well until 3 a.m. That also includes a couple Pennsylvania counties. But evidently the Weather Service is really growing some concern here that while the tornado threat may have diminished a little bit overall, the damage and wind threat could be with us a little bit. I'm a little confused as to why Carroll County and why so far south, but let's see how the storms evolve, I suppose. But really right now it seems to be that southern Trumbull County, right on the Mahoning County line there around Niles, seems to be getting the brunt of it right now. There's not a ton of lightning, so if you're in Youngstown, you're probably not going to get this warning unless you are already up and moving. I know we maybe have some night shift workers, or perhaps maybe you're a tweener and you're working in between third and first shift. And those of you maybe about the only ones that really get this warning. But if you're in Youngstown now, we need to be moving to our indoor locations away from windows. And Owen, we're still under a tornado watch here. We have to remember that tornadoes can happen with little to no warning. So folks may just want to kind of treat this as a get inside and stay away from windows, stay in their safe place until this passes through. But this has really slowed down, like you said, and they've only got this now moving at about 30 to 35 miles per hour.
Yeah, it's a good call. As you're starting to see, if we kind of back up the radar, Nick, and if you look at it, we can see this turning into a straight line damaging wind threat now, which is a very it's a good thing. It's better than having tornadoes, but nevertheless, we do have to be careful. And you know, there could be the chance of a tornado or a quick spin up along this line. So that's why they went ahead and also issued the severe thunderstorm, or excuse me, the tornado watch until 7 a.m. So that's the tornado watch, which means conditions are possible. Doesn't mean a tornado is occurring. We're starting to see possibly some heavier, I know we're starting to see some heavier rains in there too, so we'll have to wait and see. I know we had some aerial flooding, localized flooding earlier as these storms moved through northwest Ohio, so we'll have to wait and see what's going on there as well. But nevertheless, if you're in Mahoning County, Columbiana County, and portions of the extreme northeastern portion of Stark County, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning now. Then you need to make sure that you're, taking that seriously as well and staying away from windows. We are getting some, what do we got? Some reports of thunderstorm at the Fairfield Airport. Okay. So I was just looking at some other reports coming in there. Haven't had too many reports off the tornado warning. I know there's some unconfirmed things, but we're not going to say officially on that. I just don't think we'll know till tomorrow morning anyway at this particular point. But one of the things you can see here, the storm's moving east, northeast a little bit, 30 to 35 miles an hour. It's continuing to race off, and the hail threat is starting to diminish, which is also a good sign. But there's a lot of lightning, so it's a very good lightning show tonight, and you could get that quick burst of winds, and by the time it gets to you, it'll pretty much be over. So not a lot of time to prepare there. It'll be there and gone within the matter of minutes as this particular line. What we're starting to see on some of the other side is we're starting to see this really start to fan out and be more of a damaging wind threat. And even you up in Trumbull County, there is some pretty good winds and pretty good high aloft winds that's showing up on radar just north of Youngstown near the Niles and Hubbard area, just north of the turnpike there. So make sure that you're taking that seriously as well. But again, more of a linear wind threat for the rest of the night. I'm saying that I am not going to say that we're not going to see a tornado warning for our coverage area, but time I say that we would get one. So I'm not going to say that, but the conditions are still favorable for tornadoes in the 3 counties of Mahoning, Columbiana, and portions of Stark County as this moves off to the east there. So I'm assuming as these storms roll by, you'll see that tornado watch be dropped out of the actual watch until 7 a.m. I'm sure that it will continue to drop off. But we do have a little bit of storms behind this, Nick, and we're starting to see kind of a lineup here moving through the Canton area in Stark County, but those are starting to look very, very diminished, which is a good sign as well. So once this line finally moves past, pretty much you should be good to go for the overnight hours. Again, the tornado warning was canceled. I updated the video description on that. And not sure why sirens are still going off in some areas. Again, it just depends on every county's siren policy. Unfortunately, you have to contact the local emergency management agency to find out your county's policy, as every county is different. But for the time being, once this threat moves by, I know some people are watching over in the Ashland area. We do have some embedded storms over there, just a little bit. Nothing to be overly concerned with in this particular point in time over that area. So if you're pretty much, like I said earlier, if you're to the west of I-71 and Ashland happens to be right on that line, you're pretty much good to go for the night. Ashland, you're going to see a little bit of some thunder bumpers here over the next couple of, I'd say the next hour or so, and then you pretty much should be good to go for tonight. But the severe threat has greatly diminished there as well. So the good thing is, Nick, this has started to fan out, push off the main line.
It is
getting ready to push off out of our area. And if we're looking at any good thing, the National Weather Service put this down, winds at 60, but the peak winds that I'm seeing right now, again, sticking out very clearly, is right by the city of Niles and Hubbard. Again, I'll say that again. So if you're in that area, just north of the town of Churchill and south of Holland Center, if you're in Yankee Lake, there's definitely some pretty good wind gusts coming your way as it moves over to the Pennsylvania and Ohio border. That's one of the areas that we're looking at right now that's kind of embedded and some pretty strong winds there as well. But you can kind of see, if you zoom out, you kind of see that long linear threat of winds, which is indicative of a straight line wind threat. So just kind of looking at everything. Worcester, you're good to go, by the way. So Wayne County, Worcester, you're fine at this particular moment. Nothing going on for you over in Wayne County. But at this particular moment, I think, Nick, we are clear to wrap this coverage up at this particular time, but we'll continue to monitor. And for those of you in Columbiana, Mahoning counties, and portions of Stark County, we do have a tornado watch in effect until 7 a.m. But from here, Nick, everything's starting to look like it's moving in the right direction, figuratively and literally here in the early morning hours here on Monday.
Yeah, real quick, I understand there's still some sirens going off. If you're in a severe thunderstorm warning and the tornado watch, and again, we don't keep up with the siren policies in all 125 counties that we cover, but understand that some policies that I have read in the past, if you have a tornado watch and then you have a severe thunderstorm warning on top of that, understand that you may get a siren. So if you're still hearing the sirens out there this morning, that's more than likely why. However, let's make it clear that we do not have a tornado warning going on at this point in time. I've seen some folks are a little upset that we had some folks in the basement this morning. Well, that was because we had a tornado warning. Just to recap for you, just before 1:30 this morning, we did have a tornado warning that was issued for portions of Wayne, Summit, Stark, and Portage counties. Everybody's been cleared from that tornado warning. There's still a severe thunderstorm warning for Portage and Stark, but that is beginning to move on into more of Mahoning County. Youngstown is going to be the biggest next kind of call to action for you, the next biggest town in the path, but you've also got Minerva, East Liverpool, Libsyn, Niles, Hubbard, Yankee Lake, Salem, Alliance, still kind of in the polygon along with Boardman and New Middletown. I'll show you velocity one more time here, and again, we are seeing more of a linear thread, okay? We don't see those reds and greens touching. However, with that said, and I'm seeing a couple winds maybe closer to 70 miles per hour now exiting the Yankee Lake area in between Hubbard and Sharon, and also, as Owen said, near Churchill. So that's moving away and into Pennsylvania. There's also a couple more other areas of stronger winds in between Craig Beach and Beloit, just to the south of I-76, again between 60 and 65. Those are heading straight for Youngstown, so that'll cross I-80, that'll cross I-76. It's crossing 534 and 224 as well, and that'll head right into Youngstown here shortly. I was just looking at one of the traffic cameras, not seeing much in the way of anything right now. Right, it's the middle of the night, so it'd be kind of hard to see much in the sky, but I was just looking to see if there's any kind of lightning that may illuminate anything, but not much to speak of at this point in time. Zooming everything out for you all together, Ashtabula County seeing a quick thunder bumper this morning. I like that term, so we'll use it. We'll see that cross through Ashtabula and into Erie and portions of Crawford County, Pennsylvania here pretty quickly, and then we'll see that threat diminish for Ashtabula County. Down to the southwest along 71, some scattered showers, and really the lightning has even ended this morning across parts of Wayne County, Richland, and Ashland counties, just seeing some general showers. We are seeing some new development trying to get going down towards central Ohio, towards Delaware and Marysville. But again, it is very patchy, very light, and no lightning's being detected. It is just strictly showers. It is the middle of the night, so we don't have a ton of energy to work with the exception being southwestern New York, northwestern PA, and far northeast Ohio, where we do have some remaining instability to work with. And just to zoom it out for you, some of these folks into New York and PA have been under watches for almost 12 hours now, so they've been getting hit very hard. We've been fortunate here in the Buckeye State with the number of warnings that we've had since about the 11 o'clock hour, and understand we don't always go live for every single one. We have to get some sleep ourselves too, but understand that obviously this woke Owen and I up, and we wanted to come live with you this morning and just get everybody through this safely. So, and I even saw some folks saying that you got our Facebook alert that we went live, and that's how you knew that we had a tornado warning going on. So that's good, but we want to make sure that you have multiple ways to receive warnings. Don't let that be your only way. Again, we appreciate that, and that's great, but don't let that be the only source of weather information that you have. So at this point in time, we are going to wrap things up for right now. Again, Youngstown, Salem, East Liverpool, if you're up and down that line, also including Niles and up to Hubbard and Yankee Lake, back to about Salem and down to Minerva. That's going to be where the strongest winds are remaining. There are some general showers still taking place for North Canton, Hartville, Alliance, back to Worcester, Congress, Marshallville. Those are not severe. Those are just general showers at this point, and we'll continue. Once this line passes through, we can all go back to sleep. We can all go back to our normal lives. I know some of us may be working this morning. Obviously, we have a lot of factories and things like that up here in Northeast Ohio, so we hope everybody's safe, and we don't have any reports of damage at this point in time, so no tornado warnings at this point in time. So for right now, folks, we're going to wrap things up with you early this morning. I saw Ken McNabb was in the comments section as well. So for Ken McNabb and Owen Fritz, I'm Nick Dunn. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe, have multiple ways to receive warnings, and when thunder roars, go indoors.